Hello and welcome to the 15th episode of The End of the World as You Know It, a condensed version of end time prophecy. I know it's been a while since we've been together. I had a lot of things going on last year. My daughter got married. She'd been living with me for 10 years, her and her kids, and they moved out shortly after the marriage, and then my in-laws moved in. And then we actually sold our house and moved to another home in Maricopa. And this is a new studio that we've put together. It's just one of the wee bedrooms in our home. So I hope that you'll enjoy that as well. But as we enter into the 15th episode in our series, The End of the World as You Know It, we're going to be looking at Revelation chapter 14. And by the way, I'm Dr. Scott Mackenzie. And the book of Revelation, as you know, is written by the Apostle John. Well, class, down through the years, as I have been studying the book of Revelation and teaching it, folks have asked me if I had any idea when the tribulation period, those 7 years, Daniel's 70th week, would begin. And, will it be this year or will it be next year? And I don't know. I don't have a clue, but there are signs. So I guess I do have a clue that we're getting close. And one of those signs could be the world governments having a desire to establish, to unite, to bring about an empire, to establish a one world government. The men and women who are involved in this kind of idea, we call globalists. And so I thought about how are they going to convince their citizens, the citizens of their nations, why it would be in their best interest to unite their country with an empire, to create such a government, a one world government. One of my theories is that they may bring about the collapse of their economies and convince their citizens that it is in their best interest economically to join this empire, this one world. Another may be convincing the nations that, or the people in their nations, that to have everlasting peace, we need to unite. You know, there are wars and there are rumors of wars, as we were told in prophecy in the Bible that this would take place before the return of Christ. But there's even another issue that I considered, and that was religion. There are different religions in the world today, different religions that these nations have. There are a lot that don't even have a religion, that don't believe in God. But religion is a big issue. And so how could these nations unite under a empire, under this new world order, this one world government, with different ideas on who God is and what God demands of them? And so a religion, a world religion, a one world order, a new world order religion would need to be created. A religion that will unite everyone, that would be the glue keeping these nations together. Well, that objective has already been achieved. Do a web search on the One World Religion headquarters. It's located in the middle of Abu Dhabi, the capital of the United Arab Emirates. It's located on an island in Abu Dhabi. And by the way, the United Arab Emirates they're located in the Persian Gulf. This headquarters there in Abu Dhabi is placed on one of the islands that make up this city, Saadiyat, which again is a part of this capital city of the United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi. This religious center has been called the Abrahamic Family House, and on the site will be a Catholic church, a mosque, and a synagogue. It has been reported that this new one world religion will be called Chrislam. You spell that C-H-R and then end it with Islam. Chrislam. I believe another sign that we are close to Daniel's 70th week or the tribulation period will be the fulfillment of Ezekiel's prophecy in Ezekiel chapter 38. When Russia and her allies invade Israel, and when God steps in to defeat these armies trying to drive Israel into the Mediterranean Sea. So with this in mind, we go to chapter 14 in the book of Revelation, a chapter I look at as a preview of what is coming. It's like watching the preview to a movie on the TV. My grandkids, when we go to a movie at the theater, always get mad at me because I want to be there early to see all the previews of up-and-coming movies to pick out which one I want to see next. Well, that's kind of what chapter 14 is like. It's a preview to what's coming next. Now, as in chapter 7, while we look at chapter 14, you're going to be reading about the 144,000 Jewish evangelists described as virgins, first fruits of Israel to believe. And they come to faith likely because of the teaching of the two witnesses, Moses and Elijah, at the beginning of the tribulation period. So in verses 1 through 5 of chapter 14 in the book of Revelation, you get a glimpse of the millennial kingdom reign of Jesus Christ from Mount Zion, Old Jerusalem, after the tribulation is over. Now, because of God's command to the demons not to hurt those with God's mark back in chapter 9, it is believed that those 144,000 will survive the tribulation. They cannot be harmed. Even though the Antichrist sends out his militia to hunt down anyone and everyone who refuses to take his mark and worship him, God will protect supernaturally the 144,000. Also in this preview of up-and-coming events in verses 6 through 13, you are introduced to an angel preaching the gospel to the world. Then a second angel comes on the scene declaring Babylon has been destroyed, or as my theory goes, the world religion headquarters in Abu Dhabi in the United Emirates, also called the Abrahamic family house. While the third angel preaches, he comes on the scene and he begins to preach, hell's coming. For those of you who reject the gospel of Jesus Christ, hell is coming. For those of you who have taken the mark of the beast, the mark of Antichrist, and worship him as your God, hell is coming. And as we end our study, look at verses 14 through 20, where you are given another preview of an up-and-coming event. 3.5 years after the rise of Satan possessing the Antichrist and the rise of the false prophet, these verses describe the battle of Armageddon, when Jesus returns and defeats Satan and the armies of the world. This takes place at the end of the 7-year tribulation period, as the armies of the world gather. The battle determining, they believe, who will rule the world once and for all. But then Christ shows up as the armies of the world unite to try to defeat him. Class, no one knows how many millions of men and women will be there in this battle, this fight against God. But we are told at the end of the battle, as Christ is victorious, their blood will be several feet deep. It's set up to a horse's bridle. Their blood will create a river some 200 miles long. And this is why Isaiah was told that the Messiah will come out of Basra with blood-stained garments in the book of Isaiah, chapter 63, verse 1. Where the Messiah declares, I have trodden the winepress alone, for I have trodden them in my fury, and their blood is sprinkled upon my garments, and I have stained all my robes. And by the way, this prophecy in Isaiah is why I believe Basra will be the place that Israel flees to during the abomination of desolation. You remember when Jesus said in Matthew's gospel, run for your lives. This is where I believe Israel will run to during that time, not Petra. Petra is a tourist destination. So with that thought, I will close our study this week. And next week, Lord willing, we will summarize chapter 15 and do a study on chapter 16. Until then, remember what Jesus said, my friends. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God. Believe also in me. So until next time, farewell. Thank you.